Well, speaking of kind of technology, the history of hip hop, we're going to go back and look at hip hop's past and listen at an interview where they interview Coke LaRock, who was hand in hand on the side of DJ Kool Herc when they did the party that basically ushered in hip hop. All these pioneers, all these folks that were influential are being forgotten about. Yeah. And we'll see that when we get to our tier list later on. It's important. So let's go ahead and watch a little bit. We're going to maybe check out about 2 or 3 minutes and then discuss.
One night I'm at this party and everybody was doing this as I'm talking, like you said, a rhythm. So I was like, wow, they moving side to side. So I started saying, you rock and you don't stop. You rock and you don't stop. Because you're now listening to the sounds of Coke LaRock.
It's a lyric often associated with Africa Bambaataa and the Soul Sonic Force's 1982 hit, Planet Rock.
I can say it now. We was at the motel on the turnpike, right? Now, I had a wife, everything. So we at the motel, me and somebody, we came out, and somebody else came out the other door with somebody they wasn't supposed to be with. We looked at each other.
Man said I had a wife.
And I put it to words. Hotel, motel, you don't tell, I don't tell.
Another familiar line, heard in what's often called the first mainstream hip-hop track, Rapper's Delight.
Do you feel like hip-hop owes you anything?
If Herc is the father of hip-hop, and that's, everybody know that. If Herc came out of there, and I picked the mic up, and I came out of there, why am I not known for that? Where's the royalty money of this?
Attorney Lita Rosario Richardson's expertise sits at the intersection of entertainment and intellectual property. Lita works to rectify the drawbacks in the music industry that left many legacy artists without ownership of their work.
Is Coke LaRock entitled to anything?
So, my first question for Coke LaRock, did he ever record any of his rhymes? And I heard him say that he used to make mixtapes on 8 tracks. Mm-hmm. So if he recorded some of those rhymes on those 8 tracks, he has some evidence of when they were created. Mm-hmm. But even if he didn't, he can actually record those rhymes now and file them at the Copyright Office, because copyright subsists from the date of creation, not from the date that you file your copyright registration.
Why is that important for his grandkids?
Man, that's deep.
Yeah, that's deep. Like, that felt a little, I mean, I think it was lawyer talk, so it was a little slimy in a certain
What do you
way.
mean?
The copyright creation
She's protecting him.
No, facts. It's facts. I don't know. It just feels a little lawyer slimy. Not in a bad way, but in that.
Explain what lawyer slimy means in this context.
So in this context, like, it's not when you did it, is when you create the copyright.
No, it's when you did it. That's what she said.
Oh,
she said it's when you created it.
So that shows me slow.
No, the moment you create something and you record it, it's yours forever. You do not have to file a copyright.
Okay.
Filing a copyright just makes it easier in the court of law when somebody says you don't own this.
Okay. So yeah, I just misinterpreted what she was saying, which happens a lot on this show.
Well, I think that's the disconnect between how artists are not recognized in the way that they feel like they should be. There's a lack of understanding of like ownership.
Yeah.
And knowing that he did all these things and he produced these records, like, all they need is like a recording from that night.
Yeah.
And or witness testimony, or, like, you know what I mean? Just like other people that were there and present that said, no, Coke LaRock did that. And we know Coke LaRock's name as hip hop artists and those that have been in the game for a while. But I don't think the mainstream knows his name the way they know Kool Herc.
No, or even that song in that way. It's very pivotal when we talk about royalties and just the creation of hip hop. For us to reach back, we did that whole video on academics talking crap about the older rappers.
Right.
And the reason we were so furious about it is because I don't get here without that person. If it's not created, if it's not done in that way, I don't get here. And it was a brand new business / industry that I can't expect some kid or some young person, which they were at the time, to understand all of the intricacies of what the future was going to be for this.
Yeah, and they're coming out of the 60s and they're entering into to the 70s and the early 80s, where black folks in music were taken advantage of in that era prior to and even beyond. And so when it comes to like their fight for recognition and royalties, they don't have the knowledge.
No.
Today is different though.
Yeah.
The knowledge exists. It is just as when you say lawyer slimy, what I hear is like it's complicated.
Yes.
It's too complicated. It's too much jargon for it to be explained to me in the right way.
Yes. So that's more so what I mean is it sounds like, but it also sounds not coincidental, but just very like open in that lawyer way of like, well, that don't seem it's not very concrete, like you said.
Right.
So like when you hear that, that's where it can sound slimy, because it sounds like you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing because it's not a 1-to-1 in terms of the explanation.
Yeah, but in any rapper's case, pioneer regardless, like if you ever recorded any of your stuff, make sure you keep it. Make sure you file that copyright, and make sure you go get protected. Go get those royalties. And there's new laws that have been passed for publishing and laws that are continuing to be lobbied by folks like ASCAP, BMI, the writers, the publishers union, and where the publishers kind of academy. It's a publishers group that advocates for things.
Yeah.
Where like terrestrial radio wasn't paying for anything prior to 1950. And those types of things. So like those things are being lobbied for and are super important when it comes to hip hop artists and being recognized. So even though hip hop is beyond like in the future compared to 1950, it's really important for us to go get what we deserve.
Yeah, because there's a lot of money out here in regards to the industry that's just somebody else's that is really yours or as an artist. And just protecting your art in general, because while you might think your song that you put up on SoundCloud or wherever is insignificant, there's a lot more power and somebody sees it. Like somebody saw whatever it was.
If it exists, it matters.
Exactly.
Right. And you can't ever take your creativity for granted. Your creativity is always an asset in my book. So that's where I am with that, and you know, that's how I feel. I hope that Coke Rock gets his just due and everything that he deserves, and we're able to just kind of recognize our legacy artists and our legends in the way that we're supposed to.